So I ran out of time to review Wanda-Vision episode 3 last week, but never mind, I'm going to review it today with episode 4. First YouTube lesson learnt: don't say when you'll be back, you only set yourself up to fail. Be like the wind. So, my initial instincts on the first two episodes of WandaVision weren't great. I was quite disappointed. I thought the show was quite aimless. It didn't seem to have much motivation to get going. It didn't seem to care if its audience were invested or not. It seemed very lackadaisical and time-wasting. And that still remains to a degree, but I can confirm that episodes 3 and 4 for me were much better. I am going to be discussing spoilers in these reviews. I don't really know how I can talk about it without. So if you really want to know what happens, please watch the episodes before you continue with this review. If you don't care, then rebels are welcome. Come aboard. So episode 3 jumps to the 70s and takes on a Brady Bunch type of feel, the way the aesthetic of the show is. And the main driving point of the episode is that Wanda is pregnant and going to give birth in this episode. It all happens sort of out of normal pregnancy time. She literally falls pregnant, gives birth. It's like that. She's got a bump within 5 minutes of falling pregnant. It's not really explained. But I thought it was a good chemistry building episode for Paul Bettany's Vision and Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda. I thought their chemistry was building in this episode. There were cute little jokes between each other about the excitement of becoming parents and the future that they are basically about to embark on together. And I thought that was nice. It doesn't give you much story or drive still. They're still quite aimless. It's very happy to waste your time, which does annoy me because I want something to happen in this show, which thankfully episode 4 does give you something. But yeah, for this to be the first 3 episodes of a brand new show, it's, I want to say cocky, actually. It's like Disney know they're Disney. This is Marvel. It can't be bad. So, like, you know, have at it. We don't care. You can't tell us it's bad because it's us. We don't do bad things. And that's the way this sort of comes across. It's like they don't care that this is boring. They don't care that this is tired. They don't care that this is such a worn out format of sitcoms. There's a reason we don't make these anymore. I'm hugely disappointed by Marvel in that regard, or Disney. I don't really know who's to blame out of the two. I suppose they're essentially one and the same. They have got ability to be good story writers and story builders and character development, but here this is clearly the B team that are writing the scripts for this. Everything's predictable. You don't have to be Inspector Holmes to put 2 and 2 together and see what's happening here. They still keep on doing gimmicks that are so worn out. There was a whole, felt about like it went on for about 10 minutes with this stork that comes to life and you can't let the neighbours see the stork, and it's tired. It's tired. I feel tired talking about how tired that joke is. Now that brings us to episode 4 now. This was a juicier episode, much juicier. They finally started putting some jigsaw pieces down for you to start connecting the dots. I still have a complaint. I personally think they gave you far too many jigsaw pieces all at one time. We should have had some of these pieces in episodes 1, 2 and 3. This just sort of said, here's the jigsaw and here's how you make it, which I don't appreciate. I appreciate being given the pieces and then being given the downtime to step away and think, but what about this? What about that? There's none of that here. It's paint by numbers. They tell you exactly what's going on. So Wanda is somehow taken a whole town called Westview, and she's put some sort of like telekinetic border around it to make it, to the human eye, disappear. It's not there to the human eye, but if you were to essentially walk into this town, you would become a part of that TV show that she has created that we're all watching. We discover that it's Sword rather than Shield, who I've heard of Sword. I must admit I don't know much about them. I'm guessing if you think what Shield is, Sword, I'm going to go ahead and guess they're essentially the opposite of what a shield is, you know, defense to attack. So it was Sword who are looking into them. They've built up a sort of camp around the zone of Wanda's control. The beekeeping suited man is somewhat explained, although I still don't really understand why he was in a beekeeping suit. That doesn't really seem to go anywhere. You get the reminder of Ultron and what happened to Wanda's brother, that essentially he died in the attack of Ultron. Why that seems to hold a relevance to this, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if it's a red herring. It hasn't really seemed to have come up in the past, apart from the fact that it, upset her, as it would. But it hasn't really been a character arc for her. So I don't really see that being what we're trying to achieve here, that we're trying to uncover anything. And the fact that the Sword Agents were also quite surprised by this mention of Ultron and her brother tells me again that, this isn't what they're there for, this isn't what they're doing. It was just a jogging of her memory that sort of brought the world collapsing down around her for a moment. That's personally how I took it. The moment towards the end where Wanda and Vision talk, but Vision turns around and he's dead as we know him to be from the movies. The gemstone's been ripped out of his head, he's gone pale, but he's still talking. That's probably the biggest clue to me as to what's going on. I think it could be one of 2 or 3 things here. I think either Vision has some knowledge or information that Hydra, the villains, need. They, maybe the stone in his head. I think that could be something that they're doing, and they're sort of almost a little bit like Shutter Island. If you've ever seen Shutter Island, it's almost like they're playing out this fantasy for them to unearth these gemstones from their own history, although it's not their own real history. It's just how they're remembering it in the moment. I personally think the better route to go, though, just bin off Hydra entirely, that I don't even really think there needs to be a villain. I think that this could be like a PTSD reaction for Wanda. Her husband is dead.
You took everything from me.
I don't even know who you are.
You will.
And she doesn't want to live with that fact. And so she's creating this world, whether or not she even knows she's doing it on purpose or not, but she's creating this world where she can stay with Vision and have this perfect life where they don't have to be superheroes. They can have kids, they can get married, they can have a movie night, they can have an all-you-can-eat buffet and things like that, and they can live a life that they didn't get to live in reality as superheroes. And when the time came for them to be a happy family, Vision was dead. It was too late for them to do that. I think that's a much more powerful route to go. If they have got any villains, bin them off. There's no need. There's no need for a big sinister we're pulling all the strings here. I don't like that idea. I might even be well off the pace with my own thought about the PTSD, but I think that's a much better route to go. I think that's a much more emotionally powerful. I think you're more likely to solicit a reaction from your audience rather than a big scary villain just pulling the strings again. It makes Wanda human. It makes her relatable. Everyone's had bad breakups, lost people they care about, wanted to spend 5 more minutes with somebody. Life's tough. You don't get those opportunities, not always, especially if they die. You can't do anything about that. You just have to make room for these things that happen to you sometimes. It sucks, but I think it's real. So, I don't have any issue with that. If that's the route they want to go down, I'd be all for that, actually. So how would I rank these 2 episodes? Episode 3, I'm going to say it was very much still in the vein of the first 2 episodes. I was still rolling my eyes at times, uninterested, unimpressed. I just enjoyed the character dynamics between Wanda and Vision. So episode 3, I would say, I think I'm feeling kind, I'll give it a 7. Whereas episode 4, it was better. It was different from what we had already seen, and it wasn't quite so time wasting as the previous episodes. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching my review. If you could leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you're new, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thanks.